We're both experiencing a little bit of rigor mortis today. I don't think we need to explain why. But as I say, welcome. My name is Miriam Bloom. I'm the curator for the Palm Springs version of the Jump for Joy project. This is a very proud moment for Eola, myself, the entire team at the Palm Springs Cultural Center, mostly because it's so wonderful to look out into this audience and see people whom I've met over the last 4 months through this project. Eola and I met about 2.5 years ago, and it's a little bit of a funny story, so bear with me. I got a text from a mutual friend of ours saying, you need to meet this artist and give her some advice on a project. And I sent a text back, no way, buddy. I'm packing up my bags. I'm about to hop in the car and drive to Palm Springs as part of my annual snowbird trek. Too busy, forget it. And he sent me a text back. He said, no, you gotta meet her. You've gotta give her some advice on a project that she's working on. I rolled my eyes. I sent Eola a text. And at the time, she was an artist who I didn't even know how to pronounce her name, had never met her before. Could have cared less because I'm packing up.
Come in, everybody. Come in, sit down.
Eola, exactly. Didn't know that at the time. Where were you then? And I said to her in my typical curt fashion, I'll give you 30 minutes and you're buying coffee. So the next day, my luggage literally in the trunk, I met Eola for coffee. And in 30 minutes, I loved her energy, I loved her determination, and I thought her project was absolutely magnificent. That said, she was competing with Palm Springs, so I hopped in my car and I didn't think about her again. Sorry, I say that with all due respect. Until about 6 months ago, I was sitting at the Palm Springs Cultural Center offices with Michael Green and his team, and we had just spent some time refining the mission statement for the Cultural Center. And we came up with something that really resonates with me, so I'll share it with you today. The Palm Springs Cultural Center uses the unique power of art and creativity to open minds, bridge what divides us, and celebrates what unites us. And I love that. I love that because I think art is very special and creativity is very special in terms of accessibility and in terms of bringing people together. And I love, especially now, all you need to do is turn on the television set, watch the news. It's all about what divides us. What divides us politically, what divides us economically, what divides us sexually, what divides us culturally. But a cultural center needs to celebrate what unites us and bridge those divides. So I think it's a magnificent mission. And all of a sudden, Eola Baker popped back in my head. Because Michael said, can you think about an artist in residence program? What would you do here? And literally in a nanosecond, you know fate? In a nanosecond, Eola and the Jump for Joy photo project came back into my head. So this is a very proud moment for us. Yeah, we've gotten some good press. Yeah, our social media numbers are up. But we've accomplished something I think far more profound. We've brought you together. And this is such a diverse group of people, even more diverse when you look at the mural. Literally side by side, we're neighbors and we're a community. And Eola's art has done that for us and shown us that example. So I think while it's whimsical and fun, it really is about what unites us, and that's our human capacity for joy. So that to me is a very profound experience, and it's something that I hope you take with you and you talk about to your kids and your families and your colleagues, particularly in this time when so much is about what divides us. We are, after all, a community of neighbors, and we're united through joy. So that said, I've been in this theater 3 times. The first time I had to follow Marilyn Monroe. The second time I had to follow a singer who was rapping about cannabis. And today I'm following the royal wedding. So I know my place. I'm going to cut it off here. but I would like to introduce to you our first inaugural artist in residence, Eola Baker.
I'm really, really happy you're all here. Everyone at the back, come in. Sit down, there's lots of seats up here. I'm not scary. Look at all this space right here. Okay, I don't normally sit down very much. I'm pretty active, as you might have noticed in the photo sessions, but today I can barely move. So I am delirious, so if I don't make sense, please jump in and ask me to clarify, or if you have a question and get lost on what I'm talking about. I want this to be formal, informal, already messing up. And I'm just going to sort of speak briefly about me and where I'm from and how I ended up falling in love with photography and starting this project. And it's a bit of a long story, so I'm going to try and rush through it. I've got some photos to go along. And I'm more or less show and telling because I didn't have time to practice. I just threw the photos together, so I might be looking at these with you. But again, I want interaction, so if you have questions along the way, please put your hand up or just shout it out, and I'll try and keep on track for you. So I started with my name because it's very confusing to pretty much everyone who meets me along the way. I put the phonetic pronunciation underneath for those of you who are still struggling with it. So it's Eola, and it's a Native American word, which means the wind, because my father's side of the family is Native American from Canada, and he actually is the artist who painted this. I'm very lucky to be one of probably the least talented of all the artists in my family. So that's my name. And it's from the west coast of British Columbia. And I'm just going to go forward. So my life started a little bit differently than many people's. My parents were living off the land when I was born. And when I was about 2, they picked up and moved their teepee to Morocco for a year, which is a logical move. My brother was actually born there. We traveled through Europe a lot when I was young, and then when I was probably by the time I was 10, I'd been through Asia, I'd been through, we'd do road trips down to Arizona in the winters, we'd travel to Sri Lanka. What else do I have here? I think I just have Sri Lanka and Thailand and probably Arizona in these pictures. But we had a very different lifestyle, I guess you'd say. And I think it's the greatest gift they ever gave to me, because that's how I became so understanding and respectful of different cultures, different ways of living. It really showed me how human we all are, no matter what we believe, no matter where we live, no matter what color we are. So that was a really special gift from my parents. Then when I was about 6, we moved to the Capilano Indian Reserve in Vancouver, which is where my family lives. And so the Native culture was a big part of my upbringing. And as you can see, this is a traditional outfit that I was wearing. Oh, where is it? Why didn't you interrupt me?
It just started.
Was it up there at all?
Hang on.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It just right then went up.
Okay, so you saw my little cute outfit that I was
Oh,
wearing?
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next one while they sort that out.
No, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Okay, so what I'm wearing in the picture is a traditional button blanket, which is the traditional ceremonial wear, and I have a headdress on, which hopefully that'll...
Where is this coming?
Oh, we have help, technical help on the way. It wouldn't be a talk done by me unless there were errors along the way. I haven't done very many public speaking events, maybe like half a dozen, and every time I've cried. So be warned. And usually I mess up at some point, so hopefully this is the last one. There's me! So that's when I just moved to the Indian reservation. And I lived there kind of on and off between traveling through the world and my parents separating and getting back together. So I had a very movement-oriented upbringing. And then in high school, I took my first photography class, which was film. Digital was not invented yet. And so the top right photograph is from a potlatch, which is our traditional way of celebrating. And I'll quickly tell you about it, the two at the end there. So I must have been probably about 17 or 18 when I took those photos, and they were film. And then the other two were just after high school. I went traveling in New Orleans and Guatemala, and I was really interested at the time in documentary because I'm fascinated by our differences. I think it's beautiful, and I'm fascinated by different cultures. So I was really interested in that, and I thought I'd become a documentarian. That was sort of where I was headed at the time. So I'm really interested in spontaneous, everyday life, which probably set me up for being able to capture jumps really fast, because I'm always looking for interesting moments. I'm skipping a bunch of my life because it's really long, almost half a century nearly. So at 27, I decided to go to university, and I applied for a minor in photography, and they didn't accept me. I don't know the reason, but apparently I didn't fit their criteria. So I kind of put my camera away for a long time, and I didn't really take a lot of pictures. I just sort of assumed I didn't have any talent. And then in my mid-30s, I bought a digital camera, a little tiny pocket one, 3.2 megapixel PowerShot. And I bought it just before traveling to Brazil, which is where I took these photos. And I knew that was my thing. I just fell in love with it. I loved the instant gratification that I got. I loved that I could take thousands of photos and delete them if I didn't like them. I just threw away the instructions and experimented. It gave me the option to do it manually or auto. So I had all kinds of opportunity. I take the photos out of the bus. Everything was interesting to me, and I was really excited. So it took me until my mid-30s to really go for photography. So these are all just street photography and friends. So I would just take pictures of pretty much everything. And I'm going to tell you a quick story just because it's funny. So I was so obsessed with my camera, I wouldn't leave the apartment that I had rented without it. And it had a little kind of a bracelet thing that you put around your wrist so that you don't lose it. And I was there for Mardi Gras, which was insane. I've never seen a crowd like this. And we were in the worst part of the city, which is Lapa. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Brazil. But you know better than to bring anything of value there, basically. So I arrived, and someone gave me a drink, and I was standing there, and I was like, I gotta take a picture of this crowd. So I put my hand up to take a picture, and this big guy grabbed the camera and ran into the crowd. And I was like, not my camera! And I threw my drink down, and it was like Bond. Running through the crowd, and people were getting bumped, and we went across corners and through streets and through the crowd, and then we went around a corner, and there was a few less people, and around another corner, and a few less people. And I don't know if you know, but Brazil's a very dangerous country, and people get shot for a watch. So this was crazy. But for some reason, I'm a very lucky person, and I looked up just as there was no crowd left, and down at the end of the street, I saw a police officer. So I yelled out in my very broken Portuguese to stop this guy, and I don't know what happened, but suddenly there were 3 police officers with their guns drawn, and this poor man was down on his knees with my camera behind him. So I was so pumped up. It was the most exciting thing I've ever done, and I've jumped out of planes. So that's how much I love photography. Quick story. And this is another one, just on the beach. I got really just interested in angles and playing, and I was really into saturated color at the time. So that's how I was viewing the world. And then I came back from Brazil. I'm trying to go fast because my life is long. And decided randomly to begin an interior decorating business, which I had never done before, which is sort of my trait, Mark. I just kind of decide and do. So somehow I became very successful at it very quickly until the crash in '98, and then my phone stopped ringing. And I realized, oh, geez, I got to do something else. And so I kind of helped a friend start a new business, furnished rental business, right before the Olympics. And it was the most stressful it was not for me at all. We were not ready. It was crazy. My phone was ringing 24 hours a day. I was running around. At the same time, I was in a very not good relationship that ended very badly. And I just kind of had a crash. I kind of hit a point in my life where I thought, how did I end up here? Like, I'm not enjoying my life. I'm not happy. I was heartbroken. I was so stressed. So it was a turning point for me, and this is probably 2010 this happened. 2010, 2011, and I just decided to start over. So I sold absolutely everything I owned, my car, my share of the business. I left Vancouver with 2 suitcases and traveled around the world for a couple of years because that's where I'm most comfortable. That was me. So then I just kind of traveled the world, and I spent some time doing some work within myself to figure out what it is that I actually wanted in my life and how I wanted to experience and interact with people, and what brought me joy, really. It was like a really deep introspection time for me. And along the way, I would meet friends and people, and we would do these silly jumping photos, and we'd laugh our guts out, and we felt energized, and we'd see other people copy us, and it was just this really beautiful experience. And so one day I sat down and I just made a list of everything I could possibly think of that brought me joy, that got me excited, that inspired me, things that I aspired to that I didn't feel like I could achieve. People that inspired me that I thought I'd want to be around, and I just made this big list, and I was like, I'm going to do that. And that basically became the Jump for Joy photo project, which was about 6 years ago, I guess. I started doing this, and I was still traveling. This is one of the first. This is on top of the pyramids in Mexico. This is in LA, and this girl was actually with me the day that the Jump for Joy project was like the seed came up. She said, or I can't remember which one of us, I think it was me actually, said, wouldn't it be just so fun and so amazing to travel the world taking pictures of people jumping for joy? Wouldn't that be amazing? And I just kind of, we laughed and thought, wouldn't that be wonderful? And she even wrote it in a little book for me. And I just sort of continued doing these jumping photos with people, and it was always fun. It always made me feel good. People felt invigorated. And it just had such a positive effect on me and people around me that I decided to continue on with it. And at the time I was in, I'm going too fast. At the time I was in, I think, Berlin, or I was in Europe somewhere. And the day that I decided to make this into a real project, I sprained my ankle so badly that I couldn't walk for a month. So it gave me a lot of time to really dig in deep and figure out what I wanted to do with the project. It gave me time to learn how to do a WordPress website. And I should mention at this point I'd completely run out of money. So all the money that I had spent on traveling. And so I barely made it home with a sprained ankle and no money, and started my couch surfing journey and the project at the same time. And amazingly, as soon as I started the project, I started getting press. I started getting such a positive, people were desperate for this energy of joy, and it was just so magical, the impact that it immediately had on people. So I was so encouraged, even though I didn't have money, I started to just really have faith in what this project could do, and I was really, really determined to make it happen. Initially I thought, I'm going to do a book of 1,000 people around the world, and of course I had no money, so I didn't know what I was thinking. Still in my 10-year plan. So yeah, this Living Now cover is in Australia, the interviews on the beach. In Hawaii, suddenly I just had all these people that were really craving this joyful energy. And so I came back to Vancouver and continued doing photos just around Vancouver with friends of family. Did I say that right? Family, friends. And then I started kind of seeking out people that inspired me, and I would just go on Twitter and say, do you want to do this thing that I'm doing? It's about sharing joy. And everyone would say yes. And I was just like, nobody. I didn't know anybody. I had no track record. I just really believed in what I was doing. and people did too. So I just kind of kept going, and I should mention at the time I was so broke that I sometimes had to cancel photo sessions because I didn't have bus fare. Like, I was eating leftovers of other people's food, I was moving almost daily. I ended up living in the furnished apartment rentals of the business that my friends started between renters. So I'd go clean when they left and then stay there until the next person came and clean it again and check them in. So that could be a day, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, and I never knew where I was going to be. But I still did the photo sessions, and I still was committed, and I still dragged myself out, and I just really believed in this project. I'm getting emotional. Then I met a woman through one of the photo sessions who had a building in Chinatown, kind of the downtown east side of Vancouver. I don't know, has anyone been to Vancouver here? Wow, lots of you. So if you know the downtown east side, it is a very down and out part of the city. There's a lot of drug addiction there. There's homeless people. There's people with mental illness on the street. And this alley happened to be where a lot of people would shoot up heroin. They would do drug deals. I mean, it was not a beautiful alleyway. So when she said, what do you think about putting your posters up on the wall or your photos up on the wall for a little bit while I look for a muralist? She wanted to do a mural on the wall. So I was like, yes. I mean, she basically hadn't even finished the sentence before I said yes. And I had no idea how to do it, of course, but I just do things. And so I looked up on YouTube what the street artist did and figured it out. I called a printer who helped me out and introduced me to a street artist. He ended up doing all my printing for the project. And I met this guy. It really changed the way that I interact with pretty much everyone, because when you're around people that are that down and out, you don't expect them to kind of relate to joy, but they do. And they responded in such a beautiful, generous way that I've never been so moved as I was by the people there. So this was, I was doing a fundraiser. I should mention that I did a crowdsourcing to try and make this mural. And this was the first publicity I was getting for it. So a photographer was there doing photos of me. And this gentleman, James, was in the alleyway, completely strung out and high on probably crack or something. And he looked very suspicious and a little bit aggressive, and he was kind of looking at the photographer's equipment. And I just kind of said to the photographer, you know, watch your equipment, because I had some things lifted from there. And he came over and he said, what are you guys doing here? What's going on here? And I explained to him about the project. I said, it's all about sharing joy, and it's about, you know, uplifting ourselves and other people. And I said, come do a jump with me. And to my surprise, he did. He was like, oh, okay. And then it was his idea to do this high five. And when I showed him the photo afterwards, he was so quiet and sweet, and he just said that it would make his mom really happy. And I pasted up this, I know, this always makes me cry, I'm sorry. I pasted this up for him in the alleyway, and all the people in the alleyway said that he was the famous drug addict in the alley. But these people became my friends, and they came out and they supported me. It was also on the border of Chinatown, so there were all these old little gentlemen that were Chinese that didn't speak any English, 4 foot tall, and they'd bring me chocolate bars and give me thumbs up. And I was just like, this is really doing what I imagined that it would do. And so every day I would just go there and be so moved by the impact that it had on an area that you wouldn't expect would relate so deeply to joy. So here, the first time I did this, the cheapest way I could figure out how to do the posters was to print it on 11 by 17 inch paper, blow it up, and then cut and paste all of those together into posters. So it took me longer to make the posters than to actually put them on the wall. And there I am. This is the first mural I did. And at the time, I'd never used this equipment. They just dropped it off for me, kind of like they did here. And I hopped on it and didn't know what the heck I was doing. But luckily, my buddies in the alleyway all knew how to drive it. So they came and stopped traffic, and they'd get mad at cars and tell them they had to wait until I was parked. And they went and found plywood in the dumpster and helped me stabilize it. And one guy actually even put his needle down to get shims under the tires because they wanted me to be safe. I mean, it was beautiful. It really, to this day, I can barely talk about it without crying because it moved me so much. So this wall was 32 feet high by 120 feet wide. And I think I had about 200 posters. And that's me doing a selfie, as I always do, at the front. And it was really, oops, going the wrong way. Can kind of see it's similar to what we did here. I had all kinds of different challenges on every single mural. Challenges was the word. Where were, okay. Tech support. I told you there'd be some issues come up. So this is what I decided. These kind of challenges come up because it really pushes you to use your creative muscles and to come up with something on the fly.
There you go.
Oh, here we go. Oh, it looks different up there. It's squishier than on my screen. My photos are better. So that's another, oh, it's still not going. I'm one step ahead of you up there. Hello. Anyway, while we're doing, anybody have a question for me? You following me okay? I'm kind of all over the place. Questions? Anyone? Yeah.
How many murals have you done now so far today?
This is my third mural and my first international one. Thank you. And every single one of them has been as amazing as the next and has had extremely different challenges to overcome and have been incredibly moving and satisfying, every single one of them. And the effect that I wanted to have by having this huge wall full of the energy of joy was effective, and people really responded to it better than I imagined the first time, actually. Do we have tech coming? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
What was your biggest challenge here in the desert?
Well, where do I begin? We have heat, we have wind, we have late supplies coming late, we have lifts breaking down, we have, what else? What else came up? So those are a few of the things. At the back, you're gonna have to yell.
What year was this one again, and how long did it stay up?
This was in 2014, and it stayed up close to a year. Different challenges there. Vancouver's the absolute opposite. It's very moist and basically a rainforest, so we get a lot of rain there. So this one stayed up about, I'd say, 8 or 9 months. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that painted on the wall?
No, that's all paper. Here's another weird thing. So Vancouver's heat waves are, oh shoot, how do I translate this? 30. Wait.
No, we've got some.
We've got someone here. There we go. Yay! Yay for tech. So that was just another view of the mural. And then we had this beautiful celebration like what we're doing here today, and we invited everyone who took part, and so we had homeless people there meeting, Olympic gold medal athletes and students and families, and everyone got along. These are people, initially when I started this mural, no one would walk down this alleyway. They were afraid to go down the alleyway because they were afraid of the people there. And at this event, people were taking photos together. It was so incredibly beautiful. And I know we are kind of a little bit away from a very busy walking area, but I hope that that you all get to know each other here as well. So then all of a sudden, I was kind of getting a lot of opportunities come out of this. This is the first time I had ever spoken in front of people, and I was absolutely terrified. For some reason, I don't feel terrified today. I think it's because I know all of you, and you've taken the chance to be goofy and mess up in front of me, so I feel very comfortable here. I got an award for my mural being the best, I can't remember what it was, the best something or other art in the public art or something like that. And then I totally crashed and took a little bit of time off from doing jumping photos and focused a little bit more just on trying to make a living doing photography so that I wasn't starving. So I started doing some portraiture and fashion pictures and stuff like that. I didn't make a lot of money because I'm really horrible at charging people for things. But I did get to practice taking pictures of people, which I also really enjoy. So these are just to give you an idea that I actually do other photos as well. And then one day I was taking the bus somewhere and passed the mural and discovered this without any warning. So I was a little bit heartbroken. Not a little bit, I was very heartbroken and very surprised because I'd had no warning. So I just made a post on,
Who ordered that?
I think it was the building owner, but she didn't warn me about it. I guess it had started to come up and she just decided to take it down, and I didn't know. So I found out kind of accidentally. But not accidentally, because the chance of me passing by it the very day that it went down when I was on the other side of the city, I think that was meant to happen. So I made a post on Facebook and the response was incredibly like, oh my God, you have to do another one. So I kind of sat with a broken heart for about one day, and 2 days later I walked around the downtown east side looking for a new wall. Again, at this point I probably had $100 in my pocket total, and still couch surfing, still not, like, just barely surviving. But somehow I decided I was going to make another mural. And I saw this one, which was twice the height. This is about 70 feet, 65 to 70 feet high and 120 feet wide. And as soon as I saw this wall, I was like, that's it. I'm making a mural on that wall. And then I walked into the building and I was like, who owns this building? I want to make a mural on your wall with people jumping for joy. And they probably thought I was crazy. And maybe I was. So this building was is a low-income building. And it just so happened to be owned by BC Housing, which is the province's governmental low-income, I don't know. Do you know what that is? Anyway, it's a government thing. So this wall, as you can see, was very challenging for many reasons. That's actually pieces of wood in the middle there. There were some shards of rusted metal. But yeah, I was determined, so I decided nothing was going to stop me, and I did another crowdsourcing. And this was the CEO of Atira Women's Resource Society, which she organizes all the housing for women who don't have homes, who are beaten or abused. And I went to her with this idea because when I went to BC Housing, they said you have to speak with her. So I went and I sat down and I had a whole argument ready, like why this needed to happen. And as I sat down, she said, what do you need? That's all. And I was like, oh, okay, let's go. And so I began fundraising within a week of the other one coming down, and began doing more photos. But this time I was very determined to include people from that neighborhood in the mural, especially because most of the housing around there is low income. So these people live in the building. They were my first to jump. I don't want to say everyone's issues, but let me just say that there are people here who are addicted to drugs, have mental illness, do prostitution. I mean, you name it, they were my friends, and they all took part in this project. So she was just getting kicked out for some reason at the time. I mean, I just think these people are amazing, amazing people. These are back alleyways, you know, they're collecting things, but they all became part of the project. And again, as synergy would have it, I guess, I was walking down the street trying to figure out how to save a little bit of money for the project, and I was like, I need a place to make posters. And I walked by this beautiful empty storefront, which is getting gentrified there. So it's kind of Gastown, downtown east side, borderline. And I saw this beautiful empty building with big windows, and I was like, I wonder if they'll just let me use this. So I called up the real estate agent and said, do you think you could maybe put me in touch with the owner? I need a place to do my project. And they said yes. So they let me do posters in this beautiful empty building, and right beside it was another low-income housing. So all these people would come in every day and help me make the posters. So this guy here, he came almost every day, and I think he's addicted to crack. Like, these are people that you just normally walk by on the street, and they were so dedicated. They'd come in and check on me. They'd come see how I was doing. And for this mural, because it was so big, the posters were 6 feet by 6 feet, and I had 250 of them. And I got certified to use a 65-foot boom lift. So that's me up there. Yeah, I'm a little determined. And then, again, the beauty began. This wall was a little bit more central, so it had more kind of an open space. It was on a corner in a very popular area, so people would come by, and they would start doing jumping photos in front of the mural as I was making them, and people would come talk to me, just like happened here. It was really cool. There's me at work, and that's the end of it. That was the 65 by 120 foot mural. And there's whole stories of all kinds of things that went wrong and were challenging there as well, but for time's sake, I'm going to go forward. Another celebration where everyone came together, just like today. So it's really kind of exciting to be re-experiencing this again. And again, it just blew up. I had another cover in China. I had all these, like, everyone is just craving this energy, and I think it's because, like Miriam said, we're just shown all this fearful, hateful news constantly. And if you think about how that affects us inside as people, we hold that and we don't trust people, we don't feel open to people, we're intimidated by each other, judgmental of each other, and joy has the absolute opposite effect. It opens your heart, it connects you, it makes you want to be kinder and help each other. So I think it was just resonating with so many people, not just me. I even did a TEDx talk, which again horrified me. I was so scared, but I did it. And then again I crashed. So I'm expecting this to happen. And then I just kind of refocused my energy towards different styles of photography and experimented. So this is a photo that I did for another public art project. We have these wrap things in Vancouver where they wrap electrical boxes. And I took these photos intentionally blurry and just kind of messed around with them so they look like watercolors.
Well, there's a question back here.
Oh, yes?
When you had the huge murals up there, did you have any negative situation where there was graffiti or damage to it?
Surprisingly, not really. I think each of them got, the first one I did got the only graffiti that came on it was the large open space where I was jumping, but I had anti-graffiti on it, so I could rub it off. But in general, the taggers and the graffiti artists were extremely respectful. The second mural, I think that near the end, someone had tagged above, there was like a sign that someone stood on and did a tag, but considering where it was, I was really surprised that it didn't get tagged more, actually.
You said there's a special coating you put on top of all of the photos?
Yeah, it's called anti-graffiti. It's not graffiti proof, but it just helps you be able to take it off easier. Yeah. Going the wrong way. And these are just more experiment. I just like to try a lot of different things. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is that most people don't know that I do other photography, so this is my chance to show you other things. This is a powwow in Vancouver that's right on it happens on the reservation where my family lives every summer. And I'm really interested in capturing the dignity and pride of people, so anytime that there's an event like this, I get really drawn to it and look for that in people and try and capture that in my photos. Now this is an idea that I had that didn't happen yet. So this is a mock-up of an idea I have. Maybe I'm going to share it with you just because, who knows, maybe you can help me. So I came up with this idea 2 years ago, I think. I woke up with this like, oh my God, I have to do this. So the idea is to take a photograph of 50 people standing in a line, holding hands, alternating between being born in the US and born outside the US. All different ethnicities and sexualities and everything. And then wrap an entire building kind of like this. This happens to be the ACLU in LA. I even approached them with it, but I, again, seem to, because I don't charge for what I do, I've been struggling pretty much the entire time that I've done this. And the daunting task of doing another crowdsourcing just kind of overwhelmed me. And it didn't end up happening. So I just kind of let it go for a little while, and then this happened, which I'll get to. And since being here, I had an epiphany of why it hasn't happened yet. And that is because, this is just recent within the last couple of weeks, I woke up again going, oh my goodness, it's because it should be people born here, people not born here, Native American people, and African American people, because Native Americans never came here, never left. They've been here the whole time. They're never part of the conversation. I say they, when I mean I'm part of that. African American people's history, they never decided to come here. They didn't have a choice. And they're here, and they should be part of the conversation. So for me, I realized why it hadn't happened earlier. I was missing two very key ingredients, and I think it makes it a much more powerful message. And then the obvious part is it's a wall. I'm wrapping it around a wall, 50 people, 50 states. What else? Different, I mean, it doesn't matter where you're born. We're human. We should connect with each other. Holding hands is a very powerful symbol of caring and support for each other. So one day. Yes?
How much does a project like that cost?
That entirely depends on the size of the building because of square footage. So if you have a building in mind, I'll talk to you about it afterwards. And then Miriam called me out of the blue in November and kind of just said, what do you think about maybe coming down to Palm Springs and doing an artist residency? And probably I said, can I come tomorrow? And pretty much. And then within 2 months, I came here. And Miriam, thank you, because I know you busted your butt to make that happen. And also, obviously, the Cultural Center and everybody else involved with making that happen. Because this has truly been a dream come true for me. It's the first time I've been able to do my project and have a place to sleep, food, and a car, and just do what I love every single day, and thank you. This is gonna make me cry. That's me, when I first got here. And this is the celebration of the beginning of the project right here when we, I think that's when you announced that it's the Cultural Center. So this was kind of just, we're getting close, guys. I'm almost done. And then because I had a little bit of downtime to just sort of look around and get to know Palm Springs a bit before the actual photo session started, I have a few kind of random weird pictures that I've thrown in. This is just across the street from where I'm staying. And these things might be weird to you, but they're the things that stood out to me as a tourist. You can't go anywhere in Palm Springs without seeing these kind of beige blocking around, I don't know what they're called, like gate things, construction areas. So, I don't know, it made an impression on me. All the fancy old cars made an impression on me. And for some reason, telephone poles. I don't know why, they're everywhere. I have pictures of telephone poles. Oh, maybe you'll never see it.
We have to wait to our projectionist again.
Oh. I'm so close to the end, guys. Just bear with me.
He's coming.
I guess it's question time. Anyone?
How
Yes? I should know the exact number, but I know that it's over 200, right guys?
Yeah.
Over 200 individuals took part in the project. The mural has a few less photos just because I've grouped together some of the photos, but I made sure to do individual photos with everyone because to me that represents your individual uniqueness. That's your chance to express yourself. That's why I tried to get you to answer those questions because I want people to know you. I want people to understand what brings you joy and passion and what you do. So back to the pictures. I'll get back into that again. So yeah, this, for some reason you guys have a lot of telephone poles. I think they're interesting. You probably don't, but I do. And just all the beautiful foliage that you have. This looked like a bug to me. I thought it was sweet. And then I met my team. Thomas and Joey have been integral in making this happen. They've been amazing. They've scheduled all of you. I'm sure most of you have met one or the other or both of them, as well as Miriam, who came out and helped me more than I just can't even imagine how I did this by myself anymore because they were so incredibly there for me and supportive. These guys even would call me in when it was cold and make sure, do you need a blanket? I mean, they really took care of me. So thank you. And then all of you. This is also the first time I've ever had anyone do behind the scenes photos, so I learned a lot about how crazy I am. I, as you can see, find many positions to take these photos, and I never kind of knew that until I saw all these behind the scenes pictures. I'm going to leave this up for a second because there's quite a few pictures in here. I'm pretty sure you probably either are in one of these, know one of these people, or will know them by the end of the day. So this has been the last over 3 months of just running around to different locations, doing photos with you guys, having a blast, getting tons of hugs, and sharing the photos online. I did a few road trips, so I put a couple of little road trip slides together. This was one out to Coachella that was really fun. Was Stephen, are you here? Crickets. No, Stephen. Anyway, Miriam and I went out together, and Stephen came, and who else was with us? I don't have my glasses, so I can't even see. But anyway, it was a really beautiful way to get to learn different neighborhoods by going with people who know the location, and they could bring me to different spots. I left my lens cap in Stephen's car and in your car, and so I went to Townie Bagels to get it from him and took this picture along the way. So usually the photos have some relevance to what I'm doing. I just kind of do snaps along the way. And I don't know why I threw these in, but I did. Just a bunch of photos of architecture that stood out to me around here that I took. This one I was with Kayla. Oh no, I included these because I went to the Black History Parade, and I was really struck by the fact that there wasn't many people there to support them, and I felt really kind of sad about that because the history is so tragic and so difficult, and everyone's really, living in PTSD, trying to get through this life together. So I went there, and I know my project's about joy, but I'm really interested in capturing photos that express feelings. And the way that I felt being there and watching these people that had the pride and dignity to walk down the street, even though there was nobody there, really touched me. And I hope that I captured some of the energy of what I saw there. And as you can see in their faces, they don't look very happy about their history. So, and I should say your history, because I know that there's some people that are being represented here, as well as the natives that were in there. Again, it's really important for me to capture the dignity of people, and I hope that I accomplish that when I take pictures. This was another road trip with Michael and David. I don't know if David's here. Nope. We went. I think I did these backwards because I. Oh no, this is right. The first time we went to the Salvation Mountain, and these are just a couple of photos I did along the way. This is one of our participants that's in the project, The Wizard. Are you here? No. So sometimes things stand out to me differently than other people. I was fascinated by the tourists, and there was this busload of Japanese tourists that were just so beautifully matched with the environment that I had to take pictures of them, taking pictures of them. And so these are just a few photos from there. And then I got to go to a farm, Wong Farms. Are you here, Megan?
She's
Where?
probably still at the farmer's market.
Oh, she's probably still at the farmer's market. But Megan set up this trip for me because taking photos of the farm workers was really important to me because they provide food for us. And we get to go into a grocery store, we get to go to the market, we get to eat at a restaurant. And these guys work really hard and handpick all that food for us in crazy, difficult like weather. There was so much sand here that it showed up in my jumping photos. I mean, it's really hard, harsh working conditions, and I am very much aware of how they're not treated very well here. So that was important for me to have them included in the project. You'll see these guys out there jumping. And again, language barriers, joy transcends everything. I mean, it took me very broken Spanish and an example to explain to these guys what needed to happen. And they got it instantly. Another event that happened and continues to happen here. Again, this one, I was actually crying while I was taking the photos. This is one of the many school shootings happened while I was here. Another one just happened. And the students across the street did a march, and I took some photos of that. I have a few of those. But I just was so moved by the emotion and the power of what was happening and the dignity of these students, and I really hope this gets resolved very soon. Another road trip. Sorry, I'm trying to go fast, guys.
Doing great.
So this is another road trip where Barry and Murray, who I actually know from Vancouver and come back and forth to Palm Springs every year, came and we did another road trip around the Salton Sea. So I've got some photos from there. And this was an interesting thing that stood out to me as well. This daycare of Mexican children in the desert while their parents are probably picking our food. So this just was something that really struck me as interesting. Joey was with me on this one. This is another one. Sometimes this is how I view the world. So I saw this small child looking over a kind of a fence, I guess you could say, and I call this one American Dreamer. He looks like, I don't know if he is Mexican, but I was with you, Kayla, when we did this. And I just saw him there, and it told me a story, so I took a picture of it, and I just look at this small child, and I think of all the dreamers that are being deported, and that also really moves me and makes me sad. So those are the kind of things I look at when I take pictures. And my beautiful friend Kayla, who I met, I've been kind of mentoring her with photography, and she's come out with me almost every week, just about. And she came out to a lot of the photo sessions and did behind the scenes and took some of my favorite pictures that I've ever had taken of me. And so she's really kind of part of the team too. What was the name of this place that we went? We both don't remember. It was in the mountain. Near Idlewild, so it's a little outside our barrier, but Mount Center Pinion, something like that. And this I just included because it was kind of fun to see the project make the news. And I included this because everyone who's come out and done photos, Miriam, Thomas, Joey, and Kayla, have taken some really interesting photos of me in various positions that we always joke about how I end up in bushes and in garbage and broken glass and prickles, you name it. I probably lied in it. Mud puddles, I think I did too. Yeah, hot, dark cement. Here's some more behind the scenes, thanks to all those four. I kind of feel like the behind the scenes are just as precious as the actual jumping photos, so I can't tell you how much I appreciate these, you guys. This is really beautiful, and they've got pictures of me hugging you guys. They've got, you know, these beautiful moments that, thanks to them. So I'm gonna leave this just for a couple of seconds. If anyone has any questions before I'm almost done. Yes?
So all the high jumps are camera angle, it's not Photoshop or anything?
I'm actually terrible at Photoshop. Yeah, it's angle and ability. And then we're here, guys. We did it. So, I mean, it is my project, but we made this together. All of you took time out of your day to meet with me, to share joy, and because of that, this exists. So it wouldn't happen without your participation, without your energy, without your effort. And also the online website, for everyone who took the time to fill out those questionnaires, it's just beautiful to hear what makes you feel joyful, and I think being able to support each other in that is really special. Here we are. Yay! So that's the outside room. I did really try and rush through there because I didn't want to bore you guys, but I hope you continue to follow along, and I would love to open this up to more questions, and if anyone of you has like a funny or a goofy story you'd like to share, I'd love to open the mic up to you guys. Anyone? Anyone? Oh.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is your mural still up in Vancouver?
No, they're both down. This mural, we're getting a top coating, which I think is gonna, hopefully, it's good to 350 degrees protection. So we're hoping that will fend off the sunshine. Yeah. Yes.
You should tell them about how the cops showed up.
Oh yes. Do you want to tell them? Okay, so if you don't know, she's a librarian. And I went to the library to do a photo session, and she had this beautiful car that she kind of pulled up in front of the library, and we were doing jumping photos and laughing and playing, and then suddenly off the, what was that, sunset? Sunrise. I always mix that up. Off of Sunrise, a police officer drove up right onto the grass and over the curb. I don't know did he have the lights on?
No.
No. He pulled up right up to us and got out of the car, and we were just like, I'm taking pictures of a librarian jumping for joy. What's going on? And he said apparently someone thought we were getting into mischief and had complained and called the police. So that was an interesting one. Luckily we didn't get sent to jail. Everyone's okay, we're all free still. But that's definitely a cute one. Anyone else have any kind of memories that they want to share?
How long is the mural going to stay up here?
I don't have an exact time frame. We're hoping about a year. If it's in great shape at that point, possibly longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of depends on how the weather this is a first time for all of us, so we don't know exactly how it will react, but we're hoping it'll be about a year. Yeah. Yeah.
And how does it come down? Is it easy? Does it just fall off?
Same answer. The other two we took off with pressure washer. Probably by the time the sun is disintegrated a little bit, that'll probably be the same. Yeah.
Where are you going next?
I have no idea. I have like a couple of weeks to figure that out. I do have something in Boston that I'm kind of working on that will happen in July. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah?
So for
the ACLU building in Los Angeles, so what roughly would be the budget that you would need to do the 50 people?
I don't know off the top of my head, and it would, we can talk about it more later if you like, but yeah. I can't see, can you guys come down? There's tons of chairs, come on. Someone in the back had a question.
How did you put them on the wall?
I used an adhesive that I would put on the wall and then on the poster and then press them together. Yeah. And then someone down. Oh wait, over. Whoa, hands are going. Okay. I don't know who was first. We'll start right there.
This is not a question.
Okay.
It's, I just want to say, having done the jump, how much I appreciated your positive energy. When you walked in, I felt I knew you.
Yeah.
The big hug
I do too.
and just the energy that gets everybody to jump and everybody to feel free. And it's something that's in you that you are putting out there to everybody else. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Anyone have peanuts? Yes.
Have you spoken at any, like, arts commission or photography association gatherings and presented, you know, did your pitch, or has there been interest in anything around the country, around the world that way?
I haven't.
We were approved by the Public Arts Commission in Palm Springs. Miriam and I went before them, and the Public Arts Commission did approve our project because that was the only way we were able to do the mural.
Like, I don't know with all the cuts in the federal, but like with federal funding or anything
Yeah.
like that? Or
Well,
We'd
here-
love to do another program. We'd be thrilled to.
Yeah, I do have a kind of a funny story about that. So in Canada, we have a government funding agency called Canada Council, and according to them, I'm not an artist because I have not done a solo artist exhibition for 2 years in a specific type of gallery or something. So they would not fund me. So that's another thing I'd like to do if anyone wants to help me out. Try and become an artist. So, yeah. There are some funding agencies out there, but until I'm officially an artist, I guess I don't count yet. Yeah.
I have a question. Well, I think you are an artist. But I wanted to ask you, do you think, because I remember working with you, you said you wing it a lot. And
Yes.
do you think that contributes to the whole artistry of it? Not being so organized and kind of like...
I am actually organized.
No, but I'm trying to... Do you think that contributes to the overall finished product?
I think yeah, I do actually. I mean, it's just my method for doing things. I like to leave room for creative thought, and I like to leave room for, I mean, the whole nature of this project is there's a lot of flukes involved. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. I mean, sometimes I have one opportunity to get someone's jump, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't work,
I believe that does contribute.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I
So-
think it does. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. Yes.
How did you decide how to put the pictures together on the mural? That must have been a very difficult process.
Well, kind of on the fly. I had a general idea. I tried to, and I tried to put the photos where people were larger in the image near the top because it's higher up, and work my way down. I kind of did that. Sometimes I didn't. The other thing was some of them have sky, some of them have buildings. So I tried to do it in a way that it wasn't all trees and then all buildings and then all desert. I tried to intersperse them throughout the mural, and I tried to, I don't know, just instinctually, I do things instinctually, so, yeah. Is that it? Oh, one more.
So for those of us who want to purchase something, how does that work?
Mary?
Right on time.
Well, we
Thank
didn't
you.
even cue
That's
you.
great. But before I make that pitch, I don't want to stop the dialogue. There's great questions and great stories, I know, and I'm hoping that a lot of you want to share your experiences. What I'd like to suggest is that we move it outside so that we can do the official dedication and unveiling of the mural, and let's keep talking. But to your specific question, and I'm sorry this is a bit of a pitch, but we are a nonprofit organization, so these photos are available. You can either purchase your photo that was featured on Eola's blog and in social media, or once you see the mural and fall in love with that photo, you can purchase that one as well. We will have volunteers set up near the mural. For those of you who have purchased already, you can pick up those purchases. For those of you who want to buy your photo, you can also do that today. And there will be a link on our website where you can do that over the next week or so. Okay? And we appreciate your support very much.
Can I just say one more thing? I just also really want to thank you for, this is specifically for anyone who actually took the time to share joy with me. Thank you for trusting me. I know that it was really weird for some of you to do this. Thank you for putting yourself in my hands and allowing me to capture the beautiful essence of who you are, and thank you for sharing your joy, because that moment that you took with me will make somebody else feel really good, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you wanting to share joy, and keep doing it, and keep being kind to each other, keep interacting, keep talking to people that you don't normally talk to. Just be open with each other. We need each other. We're in this community together. So, and I'm not even from here, but I'm here right now. Thank you.